funny, and we're live.
Okay, that was a little on the creepy side, but we'll live with it. Oh, this is my favorite student.
I'm right here with you.
No, this is my favorite student. Good old Ann Serkey. She gets everything right. All right, number one. Now, some of you figured that joke out. How many sig figs are there in the following numbers? Very, very quickly. I would say 4. I would say 2. I would say 3. I would say, 4. Otherwise, why would they have put that 0 on after the decimal point? I would say 4. 4. I would say 1. I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. And I would say 2. 1 mark each. B says, complete the following calculations to the correct number of sig figs. Okay. Multiplying and dividing is the easier one, so I'm going to do those first, then I'm going to do the addition, subtraction stuff. Number 1 is going to be 3.654 times 19.2, but I'm going to go to 4 sig figs, 3 sig figs. I'm going to go to 3 sig figs, so it's going to be stop right there. Is the 1 going to stay a 1 or become a 2? Final answer, 70.2. Number 2, 106.3 divided by 12. I get that. 4 sig figs, 2 sig figs, 2 sig figs, 8.9. Number 3, 2,3,5,6,4 divided by 7. How many sig figs here? So it's going to be this is where scientific notation is kind of cleaner in that it's clearly 1 sig fig, but 3,000 is 1 sig fig. I'm going to come to 4 in a second. I'm going to move down and I'm going to do number 5 because that's still multiplying, dividing, and that's still a rule that I can do in my head. 4, 3, 7, 9 divided by 1, 2, 3 times 5, 2, 5. This is going to be to 3 sig figs, so it's going to be rounded off right to there, and that's going to become a 7. 1, 8, 7, and 2 zeros. Or 1.87 times 10 to the 4th. I didn't tell you whether to write it in scientific notation or not, so I don't care which one. Now, adding and subtracting. Okay. It's a little tougher. I got to write it vertically. Looks like my first guess is right there, so I'm going to round off to that column 1 decimal place. And you notice I didn't say 1 sig fig. I'm picking my words very carefully here. So 12.45 plus 19.2, take away 2.656. Double check I typed that in right. Double check I copied it out right. And that looks good. And I said I'm going to round off to that decimal. So I'm going to round off right here. This 9, is it going to stay a 9 or go up? What's it going to become? A 0, and I'm going to have to carry the 1. What's it going to be? Yeah, it's going to have to be 29.0, except why don't I stick with the same color as the rest of my answer key? 3 sig figs, but that's a 1 decimal place. By the way, okay, these can sort of be done in your head if you look at each number and you say 2 decimal places, 1 decimal place, 3 decimal places. What's the fewest number of decimal places that I said? That's what we're rounding off to. In other words, Anthony, I could say 4 decimal places, 2 decimal places, no decimal places. What's the smallest number of decimal places that I said in number 6? No. I think it's going to be the no decimal places. But since this is a quiz, I'll show my work. 241 plus 26.67, take away 5.6632. I guess my guess is right here, so I'm going to round off right to there. I'm going to round off right to there. Oh, I guess 262 even, which it turns out is fairly close to the actual value with the 2 zeros there. Okay, 1 mark for each of those. C, I hope you could figure out what I was getting at in question C. It says, round the following off to the correct number of sig figs indicated in the brackets. In other words, C number 1, round it off to 3 sig figs. So 3 sig figs is going to be this column right here. Is the 6 going to stay a 6 or become a 7? I think it's going to become a 7. So it's going to be 0.00457. Or you could have gone 4.57 times 10 to the negative what? 3. Either is fine. Number 2, they want me to round that off to 2 sig figs. 2 sig figs is right there. Is the 6 going to stay a 6 or become a 7? Now this is one where kids go a little roundy happy, because I see every so often kids say, well, that 9 would make that a 0, would make that a 0, would make that a 5, and now that's a 5, so the 6 would become a... Well, no, that would only be if you were rounding off over there. We're rounding off right here, and since it's a 4, yes, it's really close to a 5, but it's a 4, so it's going to be... or 1.6 times 10 to the 3rd. So this quiz is out of, count 'em, 16. Can you give yourself a nice, lovely score out of 16? And also, if you need to come lawyer with me or you have a question, now is the time to bring it up.